It's heavy, it's dark, it has this inertia to it. And so the collective consciousness has a heavy darkness, if you will, over it. And it is tamas that causes all of the problems that we see in the world. When we look at war, when we look at all of the issues, it's this tamasic influence on consciousness. And so for us to awake, to be lucid, to become clear, we have to remove that, or we have to separate ourselves from that influence, that collective influence. And this is really important, because if you think about it, even if you're in a home with a family and it's tamasic, or if you're in a community that's tamasic, or a town, country, whatever it is, it is your duty, and it's important for your well-being, to extract yourself from those people, places, and things that might have an unwholesome effect, on your consciousness, right? It's hard to be free if we are constantly exposing ourselves to that dim quality of consciousness. So one thing to think about as well is that we're seeking freedom. We're seeking to be free from conditions, right? And most of the conditions that limit, blur, or fragment our awareness, that make us feel separate, that make us feel removed from the oneness of life, the oneness of creation, right? So the things that fragment, blur, obstruct our awareness from abiding and consciousness, those need to be removed. Those need to be worked with, those conditions. And we can look at this as far as all of our practices. Every one of our practices, if it's from meditation to kriyas, to our affirmations, to our behaviors, our attitudes, all these things culminate in trying to dissipate and break up these conditions that limit, fragment, and blur our awareness. And so we can look at the idea of karma, right? And in this case, I'm going to talk about karma as bondage. Karma is neither good or bad. Karma is cause and effect. A rock falls off a shore on the other side of the planet, and it creates a wave, and eventually that wave will reach the other shore. That's the idea, right? So karma is cause and effect. It is neither good or bad. But here we are in this body with our mind-body constitution, and we could say that whatever fragments, blurs, obstructs us from knowing our truth as self has come from before this moment, right? So whatever is obstructing us or causing us to identify with the little self has come before now. And so it's a wave. It's this previous karma, right? And that previous karma causes our conditions. So you could say it's our genetics, it's our history, what happened to me when I was young. It's all this stuff that informs this moment, right? It informs this moment right now. But if we're not clear, if we don't settle the mind and experience clarity on a regular basis, all that stuff informs the little self, and the little self goes out and creates more waves. Right? So it's like, for example, if I think I'm going to be happy, if I'm going to satisfy my deepest soul desire by going, I need $20 million or whatever it is. I need this thing to be happy. So my conditioning informs me that I need something, and then I go out and try to create it and get it, and it just further restricts, blocks, and fragments my ability to abide in oneness, right? And that's kind of a silly analogy, but it's really an interesting thing to think about as far as our actions, right? We have conditioning that comes from the past, and it informs our behaviors and actions, and it can further condition us, right? What condition is our condition in? You know, that old song. But through the practices of Kriya Yoga or any authentic spiritual path, we are taking control of that wave. The wave comes, and it comes right to this moment, and we decide, is this wave me? Is this desire? Is this fluctuation? Is this stuff in the mind? Is all this stuff me? Is this what's going to help me become clear? Is these actions, these thoughts, these feelings, are they going to help me become awake? Are they going to help me find non-suffering? Do these truly empower me? Right? So we get to decide. But how do we do that? Well, we have to settle. That's the first thing. Maybe one of the most important is we have to settle down. We have to settle our mind. We have to sit. Every day we need to sit. And ideally we sit until all of the mind stuff that's flickering around just settles. Right? And then in that clarity, we can witness our being. And we can decide, is this stuff me? Is this stuff going to help me unrestrict, or are they going to cause more restriction? Right? And it's so important that we every day settle our mind and just abide in that quiet place and just be quiet, be still, staying awake, and just being in there. And as we do that, we also want to open our heart. We want to open and be receptive to God's grace. We want to be open and receptive to good fortune, unplanned good circumstances. We want to be open to the help, the positive people, the positive things that just come into our life that support us, that support our path, right? We can't be in relationship with the whole of life or with God if we don't open our heart. And we can't surrender our little sense of self if we don't open our heart. So we have to settle our mind every day until we are in a clearer state, and then we have to open our heart. And of course, all of our other practices are incredibly important, but those two are incredibly important. And when we're thinking about spirituality, we're thinking about becoming fully awake, abiding in the oneness of consciousness, abiding in the radiance of our being. We have to be open to what is, not what we think should be. You know, um, imagine experiencing God and thinking God should be something other than what God is, right? So many people use spirituality just to feel good, just to feel better than they do right now. So they use spirituality and this kind of stuff just to feel a little bit better, right? But that's it. So if we truly want to experience and to know consciously, to be awake of the truth of our being, we have to be open to what it truly is, not how we imagined it to be. What we truly are. It's also good, and it's also possibly important. um, it is important um, to not use spirituality and to not use the path of Kriya Yoga or any spiritual path as a route of escape. There's no escape. We have to face reality. We have to face reality. We have to do all of the things that we need to do to improve our circumstances, to not be the wave that just comes through and forms and goes into something else, right? We can't escape the world. We can't escape ourselves. We have to face these things. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is on the battlefield and he says, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. But we have to be spiritual warriors and we have to put the work into it and we have to go forward. We have to face our challenges if they come up. We have to push forward, right? To just to just like sit down on the battlefield and say, well, I don't want to, right? I don't want to change my environments. I don't want to extract my consciousness or disassociate it from the collective. I mean, all of these kind of things. We really have to do these things. We have to do these things. So I want to share a practice with you. I'm just rambling on and on here, but I want to share 3 practices with you, and then we'll meditate together. And these practices may or may not be helpful. No, I'm just kidding. These practices can be really helpful. They're really simple, and you can practice each one separate. So if any one of these practices is new to you, just practice each one separately at first until you get a sense of it. You get a feel for it. And then once you get a feel for all of them, you can combine them. And so the first one is, it is identifying with the witness or the I state, not the little I, but that part of us that is watching, that is observing. So you want to sit or be still until you have the awareness that you're witnessing your thoughts. You're witnessing your little self. So there's you participating in life and your thoughts, and that it's the little you. But if you really look, there's another part of you that is watching, right? That is awake and aware, and it's just watching. So the first practice is to take a few moments to identify with the witness or that I sense, the observer. And if you haven't experienced that yet, you will. But, but with any of these, you can also imagine that you do. By imagining it at first, uh, it can help you actually experience it. So we identify with the witness, with that I state, the observer. And once we have that, then we bring our awareness to our heart center, the Anahata chakra. And we open our heart. We surrender it. We surrender it to the whole of creation. We give our heart to God with devotion, with love. We open our heart with devotion, with love, and most importantly, we open our heart with surrender. So we are identifying with that witness state, the observer, And at the same time, we are opening and surrendering from our heart. We are opening and surrendering from our heart. So those two things together, and then we bring our awareness to our third eye. We want to imagine that our third eye is looking out into every direction. It looks forward, it looks backward, it looks to the left, it looks to the right, it looks up, and it looks down. And it also looks inward. So as we open our third eye, we imagine that it is looking in all directions, up, down, and all around. It is open. It is looking. And it's looking inwardly, but it also feels. Third eye is intuitive. It's the knower. It's the seer. We combine these all three. So again, we are identifying as the witness state, as the observer. We open our heart to God and surrender ourselves. Just relax. We bring our awareness up to our higher brain centers, up into the third eye. And we open it in all directions and inwardly. You can practice this in meditation or after, before or after. You can practice this sitting at your desk or walking. But it's a great practice because you might find that, well, I'll just say it, you might find, experiment with it, you might find it helpful. And we'll meditate together now. And at the end of the meditation, towards the end, I will walk us through that. But again, real quick, each one of those practices alone is a great thing to just to experiment with, get a sense of it. And after you have a sense of it, then you can practice them all together. All right. And again, if any one of those feels foreign to you, practicing will help, but you can also just imagine what it would feel like to be the witness. Imagine what it would feel like to have your heart open and surrendered. You can imagine what it would feel like to have your third eye open, as I described earlier. And just by imagining it, it can help elicit that experience. Right. All right. So let's meditate together. And the first thing that we'll do, um, let's go ahead and make sure that we're seated nice and comfortably with our backs nice and straight. And as we are settling our body, let us bring our awareness to the bottoms of our feet, or our legs. Let us feel completely grounded. I want you to relax your feet, relax your calves. Bring your awareness to your hands. Relax your fingertips. Relax your shoulders. And take a little breath in. And release and relax your belly. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyes. Release and relax your forehead, your scalp. Relax your ears. Grounded and fully relaxed. Let us take a slow, slow breath in through our nose. And as we do so, we're breathing slowly in to fill our lungs all the way up. Breathing in. And then we slowly breathe out through our mouth. Slow, deep breath in through your nose. Hold the breath. And gently exhale through the mouth. Do another one. Slow, slow, deep breath in and filling your lungs all the way up. Hold. And gently exhale. Now let us do one more. Taking a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel your chest cavity completely expand. Hold. And release. Excellent. So we are sitting upright, poised. Let us open our heart and our mind to the infinite, and to the all of creation. Let us acknowledge the essence of our being. Let's acknowledge that we are all spiritual beings abiding in one consciousness. And let us acknowledge the teachers and the saints of all enlightenment traditions, but especially those of the Kriya Yoga lineage. And we meditate to have our awareness restored to that natural pure state. So we have that intention. And we want to place our awareness in our higher brain centers. We just want to slightly look up without straining our eyes, slightly looking up and into our third eye or on top of the head, and we just hold it there. We just gently look up and hold our awareness in the higher brain centers. And as we do so, we can just focus in on the breath. Allow your mind to notice the cool sensation as you breathe in. Let your mind notice the rhythm and sound of your breath. Ask yourself, what does it feel like to breathe? Focus on your breath. And if you want to, you can continue to focus on your breath as you inwardly repeat the mantra. So, as you breathe in, as you breathe out, you're focusing on your breath and the sound of the mantra. So, as you breathe in, hum, as you breathe out. Keeping your awareness in your higher brain centers, you're focusing on the breath and the mantra. And you do this until your mind settles. And then you just want to let it go and just be awake and aware. And let us meditate together. You find your mind wandering, continue to focus on your breath or the mantra or both. If you'd like to, you can practice taking the viewpoint as the witness, as the observer, while you open your heart and open your third eye. And it's also okay just to focus on your breath. And as we go throughout our day, Let us remember that we are spiritual beings. We abide in an ocean of consciousness. And let us remember our relationship to the whole. In every word, in every thought, in every action, let us be reminded that we are spiritual beings. Let us surrender and let us serve and with goodwill and compassion. As we conclude, let us extend our goodwill, our compassion to everyone, to every person, every animal, every plant, every bug, to every being on this planet, all other planets. And let us express our goodwill and our compassion to all beings everywhere. Oh. Oh.